Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shadow is definitely the right name to use, certainly for as dark as this game is. I've opted to turn off all the lights in my room, and that has made it a lot easier to see, but brightness still may need to be adjusted. Interesting things happening here on the pause screen. You see this like anti-aliasing on the tractor, not tractor, but the heavy machinery behind her, which normally I might think that that's just a weird temporal anti-aliasing due to maybe deep learning supersampling, but I almost wonder if it isn't just ray tracing itself and light reflections happening. But it's weird, certainly, to see the background move a little bit, but then Lara Croft here has stopped moving as a character. And then we're having a lot of problems, certainly, as far as the game just crashing to the desktop in the first episode, and then Lara Croft just not looking particularly good. A lot of texture pop in, a lot of settings adjustments, and a lot of just messing around with settings. As for the actual game, we're in the process of trying to, I guess, kill people. We stealth kill more people down this way and escape. So the bad guys are killing all of the Mexican local workers they had hired. And I guess we're back to some tutorial stuff. Interestingly, I'm getting bullets, but I don't have a gun. Although I do have a gun on my hand. I guess I just do have guns. Wow. So the game's not even going that route as far as making you gain weapons. I'm 2 hours into gameplay though, or maybe a little less than that.
Have to be quick.
All right, let's dispose of the bodies. You, monitor the police van. Let us know when the gunshots get reported. You're in the
Okay. So much for that. So much for going in stealth, even though I had a Y prompt. So I question if the idea there was to do that stealth, or if the idea was to just engage with guns. And see, this is certainly what I remember about the second game too, is that by the end you are very much just running and gunning, and you've abandoned any idea of Lara Croft being a more stealth character or needing to be more stealthy. There's a computer here, but seems like you don't do anything with that. Yeah, and it seems like once you're targeted, so you've just got these full-on military people.
Copy that. Target sighted.
Like, I really hadn't even gotten to the point where I was killing them. And see, I don't know really where I am and what I'm doing, so
Shit, there's more of them.
Okay, is there a way to heal? Or... is there... am I supposed to just really wait?
More coming.
See, there's all these like resource caches, but I really don't know how to engage with that. The game is more than happy to tutorialize
That's all of them.
around wall scrambling and killing and climbing, but they've dropped the ball completely as far as tutorializing on how to actually just heal yourself. Let's see. Explosive objects. Guess could have been thrown. It's weird that there was a bit of a wonkiness here when I... like, you walk up to this ladder, you don't climb it by running into it, you have to jump. And so you're effectively jumping to that. And as I was climbing the ladder, physics completely broke on that curtain. Interesting. When you're going up or down any level, the physics... no, it just seems like that's completely broken in general. So it doesn't have anything worth climbing up. Shrapnel grenades. Hold right bump to create a shrapnel grenade required. So I've made a shrapnel grenade. I throw it and it explodes. Nothing to do with the lights. Assume every character that I've shot, if they still have a body for me to search, potentially has something on them that I can grab. As far as resources. So we're gonna probably do fairly well with resources. Remember, I've turned the combat down to easy, and I'm happy with where it is at so far. Like, it would only serve to add more frustration, frankly, if I'd gone through the sequence and died once and then had to do it a second time, with all the conversations and cutscenes and people just trying to kill me. Twice now I've seen a door that looks like you could just open the door and walk through there, but that doesn't seem to be the way this game is ever going to work. The general idea, I imagine here, is that you would have a sequence and then there would be kind of a break, and then in the next sequence you could potentially go back to stealthing if you so chose. But I'm not really sure that's how this is going to go. And for all the options, I don't think there is an option to get rid of QuickTime prompts completely. Maybe I could change it so that it heals. Now the game is taking control and is just going to a cutscene.
Stop! Don't hurt her.
There's this odd break, certainly, between people that were working for the bad guys and just general civilians in Mexico.
This isn't the way I hoped would be. You know, I've been interested in your work.
Trinity always is.
As a bad guy, he's an interesting character design. It's different.
My life for this. Where's the silver box of Asia? Give it to me.
It's in a safe place.
You don't have it.
So is there something about the knife where you can't hold on to it without it being in the silver box?
It never occurred to me that you would just take. With this key and the silver box, we can remake the world without weakness, cruelty. And certainly with none of this. But without the box, the apocalypse, the death of the sun.
You're lying.
Lara.
Again, the voice actor seems
Tremors are common.
Tsunami
off.
is coming, and this is the first of many catastrophes you're doing.
You would have done the same.
Yeah. By taking the key, you set the apocalypse in motion. Do you realize the tragedy you have unleashed?
And it feels like in the cutscene even, the graphics are just
Cleansing has begun.
jumping between two different models or
Stop it
texture
before it consumes us all.
pop in on Lara Croft. And I'm not really seeing that on any of the other characters. There's a mud and texture version of Lara Croft as we're seeing her now, and then there is a cleaner, watered down version of Lara Croft, or that is just softer looking, less detail. So looks like I think I'm actually in control here. So my guess is we're trying to swim. Meanwhile, this entire area is being destroyed, so I imagine I'm not going to ever be able to revisit this area. I guess I'm supposed to be pushing forward. There are definitely sequences like this in the previous games, but in the previous games they were shorter sliding sequences, and I don't think they really led to this kind of destruction. And so this really comes off as a case where the bad guys, or that bad guy, may not be that much of a bad guy. Yeah. If Lara Croft has started the apocalypse, in a lot of ways this feels like this is very much on rails, this sequence, though. I would not expect there to be any collectibles or anything like this, that they've just given you a swimming sequence instead of a longer cutscene. And that glass texture didn't feel like it was loaded in particularly well.
Got to find higher ground.
if anything, I guess this is the ultimate culmination of Lara Croft being swept away in water. Wouldn't be surprised if that boat there was exactly the same boat from the first game. Not storyline wise, but as far as a reference or homage. And now we're getting introduced to the bloody you screw up and you die. And that load was a little longer. This is a point specifically for video games where Nintendo really has already solved the idea of failure not equaling instant death. And we can now see anytime you fail here, you are just going to end up seeing the same animation of being stabbed. I don't know why we are constantly getting a wall scramble prompt and nothing else. So we're gonna save the kid? Nope. I don't know how a sequence like this, though, connects to 2 days later, where this game started.
Lara? I was so worried.
I failed. Worse.
What do you mean?
Dominguez. He has the dagger. I lost it. After everything that my father went through, I gave Trinity exactly what they wanted. He'll use the box and the knife to remake the world.
To remake it into what?
I don't know. He thinks he can rid it of sin and weakness. A man like that, we have to stop him. It's all my fault.
We'll figure it out, okay? I promise.
No. We have to get to the hidden city before Trinity. We have to find the silver box.
Okay, but first, we're gonna help these people get to safety, and then we'll go after the box.
No one is safe. Not if he gets the box first. I have to go. I'm the only one.
You're the only one that can what? You don't know that you caused all this, Lara. Not everything is about you. These people need us.
Yeah,
here.
all this voice acting here in this scene,
now.
it just has no background noise to it.
What do we gotta go on? A riddle? We're gonna need more than pink fish and silver crowns to get to the hidden city. I'm gonna help these people. And then I'll find us a plane.
This is an interesting idea, potentially, that they could use these items and remake the world, and then you could have a rebooted world for Lara Croft. Maybe the audio I'm hearing problems on these cutscenes is actually because of the audio dynamic range. There really was no way to test out that setting, but maybe I do need to just turn it down. Alright, so now we're 2 days later, where we saw Lara Croft crashing her airplane, I imagine. And we're in Peru. See, that visually, that texture and character face model looks great. But half of the time when we see Lara Croft, it seems like her face model, bone structure, changes. Like, she has this rounded face with no less of a chin, and then sometimes she has a more pointy chin.
I just can't get those people back there out of my head. They lost everything.
The riddle says, chase the heart of the serpent to the Silver Crown Mountain where the twins confer. I wonder what the twins are.
This storm looks like bad news.
It's just a little rain. We'll concentrate on the cloudy
If this is like the first game, she's going to end up crashed in Peru for the rest of the story, pretty much.
How do we know we have the right one?
Gut feeling? It's our only clue. The mural says there'll be more disasters. The best way we can help them is to put a stop to it and Trinity.
Okay. But how do we really know?
Jonah, what I felt when I took the dagger.
You mean the tremors of the tsunami?
More than that. It felt like I woke something up.
You know what I think it
I know that
is?
it's not practical. I know that it's hard.
I think they
You need
did
to trust me.
a face capture of the actress for Lara Croft. And then Jonah, I think they did a more traditional wire rig framing animation of his face. So Jonah may look better just because it's hand animated and created from the ground up.
That's it.
Whereas scene to
I
scene,
don't like this storm.
the slight changes in face capture with the cameras would cause Lara Croft's face to look differently. That's just a theory, though. It could just be texture popping.
Miguel, is there anywhere to land?
You would think the idea
Yeah, I can put you down
would
here.
definitely be to have Lara Croft look perfect and consistent. Apparently this airplane flight is not the one we started the game with. Or maybe it is.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna level it.
So this is the same flight. And then it just skips the rest of that animation in that cutscene. So now we're hanging in a first-person perspective. It definitely feels like some of these cutscenes are very much pre-rendered or attempting using a different animation engine, part of the engine. Which that's been a problem certainly in games too, is that they have cinematic engines and in-game in-action engines or parts of engines, so it's almost completely different code that's executing, or different enough code when in a cutscene versus what's happening when the player has control. I guess now we're going to have a really muddy Lara Croft, although noticeably they're not getting any mud in her hair. I don't think games these days really would have the ability to process mud in a hair to look good.
Dr. Pedro Dominguez is an archaeologist and expert in pre-colonial Maya history. My father mentioned him in his notes more than once. That's the lead Jonah and I were following up on when we came to Cozumel. His excavation in Cozumel was one of the last places my father visited before he was killed. If there is a connection, I want to find out what it is. I thought that Dr. Dominguez was only the leader of the local Trinity cell. I never imagined that he would turn out to be the leader of the High Council of Trinity.
I think Lara Croft makes a lot of assumptions about what Trinity is without actually having any evidence there, or enough evidence. It would be kind of crazy if it was all just a misunderstanding, but Alright, so we have a Peruvian jungle, and the maps being wide I don't think means too much. Let's see. We don't have any challenges here. And seems like we have quite a lot unlocked. Let's see.
A secondary party, a few days behind the main pilgrimage, reported strange things on the route. The beasts had become more ferocious, and the jungle itself more dangerous. The trees and vines gnarled and twisted, growing thorns as long as a man's finger and sharp as blades.
It's weird to just have things that we've collected from the previous section. Okay. So what I want to do, start by just saving the game. Let's go audio. Dynamic range is the difference between volume of the loudest and quietest sounds. Select low for lower quality speaker systems or noisy listening environments, or high for good quality systems or quiet listening environments. I have headphones on. I think we'll turn on low and see what that does. Let's see. The next thing I want to adjust is gameplay, and repeated button presses will turn to hold. Hold automatically presses mashable commands while holding it. I have a little bit of arthritis in my hands, and I think I would really enjoy that, and that's not going to really change the appearance in any way. Then the next thought, certainly interesting that we don't have ray traced quality shadows here enabled. Ambient occlusion darkens creases and corners in the game in order to it. Let's see. Depth of field simulates the camera having only a certain part of view in focus. Normal mode reserves this effect mainly for cinematics, while high also sets foreground objects to appear out of focus during gameplay when appropriate. Let's turn that off. Higher quality increases the distance at which objects fade to a lower detail. Lower quality decreases the distance, improving GPU performances. Due to faraway objects not rendered at low quality, it can also significantly impact CPU. I think level of detail on Ultra might be what we need. Tessellation. Yeah, we're really having to mess around with some of this though. I like the hair to look better, but there's no better option there. Alright, so that's several settings to consider and mess around with. We'll see what that works with, if that does anything at all. So now we have a very muddy Lara Croft who looks wet and cold. We have our crashed airplane, and Probably Jaguars. We have no longer any of our weapons, so everything up until this section was really just a tutorial, abilities, and so that we're now going to have to reset ourselves to regain our guns, regain a bow and arrow. I assume we have the same salvage items.
Miguel!
She is screaming for Miguel. I have no idea who Miguel is. The pilot was dead. Jonah would have been thrown way far back. Like, let's just do some. Yeah, we may need to turn off the tutorial stuff too. Let's see, Trinity Badge, Dr. Dominguez, Jonah Maev. There's nobody named Miguel in the story. It feels like she's been programmed to possibly scream Miguel's name when we run into a Miguel, but we have yet to run into a Miguel. Unless there's some kind of secret code word you scream out. There's definitely a problem you're going to run into. Let's see if we can look at the map here. This is a big area. Unlike in the first game where the valley was mostly lower grass and a few trees, this is way too much foliage. It does highlight
I'll keep this for later.
Maybe the progress we've made over the course of
Can anyone hear me?
3 games, and that you can just have a massive amount of foliage and it looks pretty good.
Anyone?
I guess maybe Miguel was the pilot and maybe she's hit her head and forgotten that she would be all alone.
Where are they? I have to find them.
If Lara Croft does remake the world, I suspect she would probably do something simplistic like just trying to bring her father back up alive. Interesting, just a ray of light popping up. Or bring her mother back alive. Or she just does a very poor job of remaking the world. She could certainly remake a world where Trinity never existed, and then you can have a rebooted series where Lara Croft is not obsessed with defeating Trinity in the last 2 games.
Someone's over there. I have to get to them.
There are, fairly obviously, I guess now we are just going down a more linear path, some sales points that Square Enix probably wanted or demanded as the publisher of these games, and one would be cinematic vistas that you could look over and look at. But noticeably, that view didn't even put the camera quite in the right place. Almost like, I don't know what it was like really. Like, she should have walked over here and then the camera should have shown us that way, so she would be looking at it, whereas she was more kind of standing over here and looking at it that way. That's just not as good framing. You kind of want to get the side of the forest and those trees. Like, this is boring framing compared to this, because you get some perspective of a foreground that way. And this, if you could see down here and see that there was more of a drop off, would be better. So stepping back is about the best you could do there. Probably don't want to go this far back to frame the image. Pretty green birds. Use feathers to craft arrows and restore outfits. Interesting. So are we unlocking costumes? And see, I like that a lot. Although that did seem like that changed things quite a bit there in the animation. Instead of struggling to tap X, I just pressed X and it immediately succeeded, which is not what I expected to happen at all. I expected to hold down X and have to hold it down for 5 seconds, and then you would just see an animation of her struggling, and the game would just automatically, like, every third of a second, tap X for you. I don't know if that's a gorilla, orangutan, or monkey, or something else.
Howlers.
Howling monkeys? Are they dangerous? Yeah, normally you would expect, if you're going to mention an animal, to maybe get a jump scare with the animal being closer to you so you can get a better look at it, or the camera flying in to show you what they're talking about. Particularly if somebody was playing this where the level of detail was very low, those monkeys would look pretty bad, and even here they look pretty bad. I feel like there should be a way to zoom in and look closer. And this is just a linear walking from point A to point B section. I think that's part of the problem. Seems like we're getting into a fetish of having Lara Croft covered in mud also. It's interesting, the mud and moss on top is getting moved around as you walk.
Someone must be around. Hello? Jonah? Miguel? Can you hear me? Where are you?
I guess we're establishing the idea too that Jonah and Miguel are probably only going to be the only characters we deal with. We don't have a knife on us. Flight logbook. Again, you can not hit back.
Miguel made notes about the long-term weather forecast. Warm, hot, and dry for the next 3 days. Highs in the low 30s, mostly clear skies with nothing but light rain expected. Based on his other entries, if Miguel had thought the chances of a severe storm were better than half, he wouldn't have flown us at all. But there was no storm predicted, let alone something serious.
So, did the apocalypse cause the storm, I guess? And I guess Miguel just got knocked out. We have to assume that now. That looked to me like his face got smashed into the
I didn't know
ground.
The storm would hit so hard. This is all my fault. I should have listened to Jonah, thought it through. I never should have taken that dagger. I hope no one else was hurt. No other village destroyed. I need to stop these cataclysms before it's too late.
So we can see on the left there's a bit of her hair that is just totally freaking out, vibrating back and forth. And yeah, I don't know if any messing with a setting would really fix that. But so far, so good. It looks like now that we're actually in the game, we may be in a decent spot. Doesn't seem like we can unlock any of the other things other than skills. Let's see. Training in Seeker enhances Laura's exploration and observation abilities. Warrior increases her combat and weapon abilities, and Scavenger enhances her crafting and stealth skills. Okay. Choosing a skill to learn from any blue, red, or green colored box. Skills with white outlines have already been purchased and mastered. Dark boxes are unlocked when the adjacent skills are unlocked. Some skills must be found in the world and cannot be purchased. So we have a very different unlock option here. And it seems like these center things are already unlocked. Or you can't unlock the center things at all. So we've got several story rewards here. And then if we complete a challenge tomb, we'll unlock this. Let's see. Shoot 3 people with arrows. Shoot 2 people with arrows. Weapon upgrades. Precision of charge shots. Visual assistance when aiming at an enemy's head. That's probably not that necessary. Resist damage from enemies for a short period of time. So if you just turn down difficulty, most of these are not really necessary to buy as far as the warrior path. Incapacitate unarmored enemies with a counterattack, so we know there will be armored enemies. I assume each of these challenge tombs may be different challenge tombs you have to defeat, so this may also be telling us how many challenge tombs there are. Let's see. Reveal artifacts, monoliths, treasure chests, and archives, maps, and explore backpacks when using survival instincts. I think that sounds like a great skill to potentially get. Reveal challenge objects when using survival instincts. Survival instincts last longer for a period. After she starts to move, highlighting enemies, resources, and objects. And then there's several story reward things that I guess you'll just get. Reveal traps while using survival instincts. Negotiate better prices from merchants. So that might be a good one to go for very quickly. Locate the heart of large animals when using survival instincts to hunt. Gain the ability to harvest dart, poison, and venom from spiders and beetles. Harvesting requires the makeshift knife, so probably don't unlock that yet. Increase the chances of finding rare animals. Large capacity ammunition and resource satchels now available to purchase from merchants. Reduce noise from jumps, landings, and falls. Increase the amount of man-made crafting resources gathered from each source. That's obviously one to go for. Increase the chances of recovering arrows when looting enemies or animals. It does seem like you're going to spend a lot of time still using your bow and arrow in this game. Automatically loot enemies by from a stealth takedown. That would be nice to have. Craft lure arrows and kill nearby people. Adds a flare round attachment to your guns. Adds concussive shells, flare rounds, and concussive stun enemies for a longer period of time. Craft poison grenades. Craft lure traps. The Vestige outfit requires fewer resources to restore to glory. Interesting. So at some point here, we are just going to be focusing heavily on restoring outfits. And I don't know why that would be such a big deal, but Almost seems like that is going to be a major part of the storyline. Increase breath capacity when swimming underwater. Stacks with Cayman's breath too. See, this serpent strike also makes a good argument too. So, I think what you have to do here is potentially go with this one, then this one, then this one, and this one, and then that would be a very stealthy scavenger type direction to go. I don't think we need to get Anoli's needle quite yet. Alright, so let's do this. Automatically loot enemies from stealth takedowns. We got an achievement. That's pretty much what that sound effect was. Then increase the amount of man-made crafting resources gathered from each source. That's going to cost 2 skill points. I didn't realize that. Then stealth takedowns, not alerting enemies. So we need 2 more skill points to go with this one. After which, it seems like we'll have to reevaluate what we want to spend the currency on. I wonder if you get all of the squares around these squares, that may unlock something. Let's see, unlock the completion of Forge of Destiny during the Echoes of the Past. So it does almost seem like you're going to go back in time at some point. I guess there's nothing else to do here, so I hope I've made the right choice. This game is heavy on stealth, so I do expect there to be an element there. I guess we should go after this animal, but I don't know what I could go after the animal with. I don't have any weapons.
Part of the plane landed here. My gear's in that cargo. I'll need to cut it down.
Find a tool to cut down your gear.
I need something to cut that down.
Sharpened edge is required to cut the rope.
Might be a sharp piece of scrap in that section of the rack.
Okay. The problem you run into with games like this, though, is once they start to give you this detective vision, you have really set yourself up in such a way that you're going to constantly want to use that detective vision. And so we're just gonna constantly go back and forth doing this. And I don't see a real reason to make the sound effect each time. I kind of wonder if we can get back to messing with the options. let's see. It probably isn't here. It's probably under gameplay. Obvious white paint on critical path longer grab timer base camps are lit. Toggle glow when using survival instincts. Glow highlights things here. So you could turn off the glow, but you can't keep the glow on by default. Or you can't turn off, say, the survival instincts sound effect. So I guess your punishment for using this is that you are going to constantly have a thumping sound.
I'll need a tool to open that.
Challenge tomb nearby. Is it just a swing and a jump here? Okay. I think I may have just entered the challenge tomb area. The real problem, certainly with the first game in particular, was that challenge tombs basically didn't exist and there was very few of them. She was waving her hand quite a lot. See, we're now back to the cleaner, not covered in mud texture of Lara Croft, but visually she still looks good. Okay. Let's just follow the marker. There's a lot of animals here that we could potentially run, end up killing completely and hunting. Collect 5 plants from the canopy. Where am I supposed to be going? If I can't break anything because I don't have any tools or resources, am I supposed to just be back at the fire? Let's see. Find a tool to cut down your gear. It doesn't seem realistic that you would just go to the fire camp here and craft a weapon. And so now using the campfire also does seem like it is opening the door to auto-saving only instead of manual hard saving. Handkerchief.
The monogram reads PHF. That has to stand for Percival Harrison Fawcett.
Who is that? It's not Jonah, that's not Mikkel, that's not... Hey, twice now we've been thrown into new names. Okay. Is there something here where you're supposed to jump and climb from that? Doesn't seem like it.
Maybe a piece of scrap from the wreck.
Okay, here we go. I will say this game is done better than the first game, because in the first game you basically are stabbed in the stomach at the beginning of the game and are severely injured throughout the entire game, and the game pretty much conveniently forgets the fact that Lara Croft is stabbed. So now we're being attacked by Anil for real this time. And I'll just hold down X and stab him quickly. Go ahead and cut this down.
It's dull. I need to find something to sharpen it.
Clips salvage to sharpen it. Great. If I run against one of these
Exactly what I was
animals,
looking for. Just need a bit more.
can we kill? Can we stab animals? Or are we not at that point yet? I think at some point we will be running right next to bunnies and stabbing them. Do I want to go in this cave? With no items? Crypt and document a tomb. Where are we? And we're over here. It's another crypt being discovered. Right. So the last thing I think we could probably do, and I really don't want to mess with all this, is let's just go 2 more tiers in brightness. Like, I wasn't sure how bright the game was once we got out of that first area, which was very dark. But
got everything I need. Should head back to camp.
Seems like we're going to be in canopied, shaded area for the most part. We're not likely going to be in bright light. I kind of wish more of the game was in bright light. If you inherently were making more of a old school Tomb Raider game, you would need that bright light for platforming reasons and showing the way, instead of what we've got here, which is a lot of wrong ways and one right way. Let's see. Seems like you can't actually attack anything with the knife. then it just automatically took me to this menu. So now we're going to craft things or upgrade weapons. Hold down the A button to craft a knife. Alright, and we can see some different outfits. So the default outfit is probably what we would want to play with, but let's look around. The Tactical Adventurer Black. A black variation on the Tactical Adventurer outfit increases the amount of ammo crafted and grants more experience for stealth kills. Benefits full body, craft additional ammo and bonus XP and stealth kills. The Robes of Puka Hawk. Robes of the renowned herbalist Puka Hawk, rumored to be able to step between walls, increase the amount of harvested animal resources and health regeneration. Benefits your full body. I don't know why they're going to say it doesn't benefit your full body. So health regeneration more quickly, but your health regenerates anyways. And since I'm playing on easy in the fighting, I probably won't need that. And then you gain additional hides and fats from animals. But almost certainly it's not going to be worth it to switch between characters, as it were. Here's a resource legend. And they've done an interesting thing here. Instead of having the full spin ability, which would inevitably require some limitations, otherwise you could just move the camera looking directly up her skirt, they've got an X button that rotates Laura, where she just steps in this animation so you can see behind her, and that's it. Then we have the Explorer outfit, green twill, Oxford and beige canvas pants. If anything, this feels probably the most realistic outfit she would have. Increases the amount of harvested natural resources and experience gained from hunting. So again, if we end up doing more hunting than stealth kills, it might be better to switch into this outfit. And then in a lot of ways, you probably are in a decent spot to always switch to this outfit when you're hunting, because there's almost always a campfire somewhere near hunting grounds. The Adventurer outfit here has no benefits at all. Beige cotton Oxford and green pants, functional outfit, adventurers of the beaten path. And yeah, again, this outfit seems fairly realistic, where this outfit seems a little bit nicer and actually has some benefits. So my question here, I guess, is all of this from DLC and the game started me with this outfit. No, I definitely was not wearing this outfit. Interesting. This must be DLC. And it's colorful, certainly with the blue. It's a different idea, but that is not what we were wearing. Can you unequip anything? Test tank and teal tank and brown canvas pants, they both have seen better days. Full body outfit, none. But see, this isn't the outfit she was wearing either. Alright, so this is like from the first game with the tank top, and honestly, I think this was a better outfit than what we started this game with. You can see in this there is like a big wound hole and lots of scars on the clothing. So these all that say none are not DLC, and these first three are DLC, and they're just ahead. Remnant jacket. This is from the second game. Although I would assume that the face is not really changing much here. The hair seems like it is changing somewhat in these different outfits. It's just like more hair, and it's a little bit more wild in this remnant jacket. Remember, in the second game, you spend a large part of that in like a Ukrainian cold area. Commando. Just, we really are potentially just playing dress up here with Lara Croft. Desert tank. This is not terrible either. Infiltrator. A lot of these feel more like a Metal Gear Solid or military game, though, than something that you would expect Lara Croft to be wearing. And if anything, I think this highlights the idea that they don't really know what to do with Lara Croft as a character, other than they don't want to do the iconic hot pants and tank top from the original Tomb Raider series. So instead they've got somebody making a lot of different outfits here that have no benefits. So you've kind of destroyed the idea of swapping outfits amongst this lower group here. Like this is the kind of outfit that's crazy enough that it might make some sense to include that, but a lot of these are a little too generic for their own good. The leather jacket look here works nicely if you don't want to show off the arms too. Gray Henley. This seems like this is just straight up trying to do a Nathan Drake look. Blue Henley. When you're getting down to the point of the only difference is the color, you've gone too far. And here's Lara Croft from Angel of Darkness, one of the later Tomb Raider in the first series. And you can see that drastically changes her appearance. And not just the hair, but it goes into a much lower polygon, smoother design. And when you look at Angel of Darkness, you are in this later game seeing a cartoony appearance, but you aren't getting the like 4 polygon triangle boobs. The hip to waist to bust ratio is a little bit crazy with an hourglass figure, but it's not really that terrible. Whereas arguably they've made the new Lara Croft perhaps have slightly too small of boobs. They made her what feels more like a B cup, whereas I wouldn't be surprised if the Angel of Darkness design here is much closer to like a D cup. And that behind is much more impressive. And iconically, when people are cosplaying Lara Croft, they still are going for an outfit closer to these Tomb Raider characters. Here's a model similar to what you would have seen in Tomb Raider 2, and the waist is even smaller in this as you go back to older games, and lower polygon, certainly. I think, though, if you were to actually compare this one to this one, the bust size is actually a little bit fuller and better on Angel of Darkness, whereas the waist is just way thinner here. That is not what I wanted to do. But yeah, very obviously there's too many outfits here. Here you have a bomber jacket outfit. Alright, and then we have Tunic of the Exiled Fox, which this looks unique enough in design to be playable. Plus, it also gives you a bonus on hunting and increased focus time. But maybe you don't use it until you have the Scales of the Serpent skill. This again looks too military. There's this obvious divide. Like half of the people making this game wanted Lara Croft to be a military running gun shooter character, and half of them wanted her to be a archaeologist hunter survivalist character. This one gives you enemy awareness bonus and XP on stealth kills, which I think that means this Brocken outfit is probably the best outfit when you are going to be fighting people. Yeah, we have another nicely designed outfit, but wouldn't it make a lot more sense to have these outfits unlock? And I wonder if perhaps this is one of those cases where the DLC has made the game too easy for me because it's unlocked a bunch of outfits that you should have actually progressed and unlocked throughout the course of playing the game. I may have accidentally paid to win. Noticeably here, this would be a very distracting outfit to wear, as the physics on it seem very broken, and the tassel in front is waving back and forth quite a bit. Right. Scales of Q. Q gives you double melee resistance. Hunter's Array increases the duration of perception for herbal effects, requires Eye of Eagle skill. Quiet movement reduces noise when running, making Lara harder to detect. Dragon Scales, health regeneration, and file and stumble resistance. Apparently you can stumble quite a bit. See, interestingly here, that tassel, I just don't think they did it quite right, and it feels like now that sash on her backside there is sitting on some piece of equipment, or she just has a really flat, thick butt. I'd assume that there's actually supposed to be some implied item, piece of equipment back there. It'd be crazy if we just never get back to the outfit we started with. Tactical Adventure Classic. Bonus assault kills with the assault rifle and projectile resistance. We may use that later. Midnight Sentinel perception. Some of these bonuses seem to be almost exactly the same throughout the entire game. Here you have just Lara Croft in a fitness outfit. Noticeably not really equipped with anything other than a knife. Okay. So there was a setting here that I think affected this. By default, I'm going to choose this outfit. I think that's the one with the best benefit. at the moment and would probably align with our playstyle more. At least at the moment. When we start to unlock other items, some of these other benefits might help. Oh, I guess what we had on before was just a tactical adventurer default outfit, which was lower body and upper body. And so eventually I guess we may just craft lower body and upper body items. But I also definitely feel like I've kind of paid to win here with some DLC. And then all we have is rope as far as gear and weapon. So that was just a lot of time looking at outfits.
That should be sharp enough.
See, again, the texture on the face there looks a little too clean and not loaded in. And so I'm wondering if it takes it just a second to load in the textures, or if it is a matter of you need the character to, I don't know, jump through the water or jump through mud to change how they look. See, I just got a skill point, so it does kind of make sense to know we need one more skill point. Okay.
Something's still holding the supplies up.
So now that we have a sharpened
there's a second rope
knife
tethering them.
Now, can I climb vine-covered trees?
Yes! Now I can get my gear back.
I don't think you're really going to take any damage falling. And there are rabbits right next to me, and I'm not capable of stabbing them. We may find we don't have all of our gear, but almost certainly we're going to get some of our gear. A bow.
Why didn't I pack all my equipment together?
Different kind of bow. It looks different than what we were carrying before.
Miss Croft? Anyone? Come in.
But at least it makes sense that
Where are
that
you?
bow is in a reasonably sized case. And we have a microphone. Radio. So it seems like we're set there. Now, I also have arrows and a quiver on my back now. So that seems like that has just magically appeared. Which, whatever. You don't have to have full realism in a video game. Okay. We have 16 arrows, and I think I'd probably want to shoot the capybara character that's big first. So, use hides to restore outfits and upgrade weapons at base camp. I assume we just hit the X button on that. Although, this guy's fallen in an area where I can't really walk. So I may have no way of recovering this hide. Wait, he's over here. Then what's that? I didn't kill two things. Well, I don't think I'm going to get close enough to this to be able to grab it. So obviously there's a real problem of allowing animals to walk where I cannot. It's probably not worth it to kill birds. What is our goal? I guess it's to go this way. If we shot that, what can we tether it to? We're supposed to have tethered it to that. We don't have the climbing gear. We don't have any of the other items. So it seems like you could potentially investigate this area some more, but I don't know how much you could really pull off or accomplish. Maybe I could get... Yeah, see, if I was to jump down there, I'm not sure I could get back up. Alright, let's just see what happens. So we know there are already dead animals around.
August 9th. I am leaving this page here to assuage any mystery should the rest of this quest prove as fatal for me as it has been for my party. My name is Jack Fawcett. I set out from Cuyaba, Mato Grosso on the 20th of April, 1925 with my father, Percival Harrison Fawcett, and my best and longtime friend, Raleigh Rimmel, in search of Zed. I am the only one left. My father was lost to a pair of fierce jungle cats and Raleigh to blunder. I myself am worse for wear but refuse to give up. My father believed we are close to Zed, and so do I. So leaving two graves behind me, I will push west still, with the hope that I am not walking to my own end.
So it seems like we're getting some backstory around collectibles, and if we are going to end up doing some kind of time traveling, I could see meeting up with those characters. I guess the question is going to come down to how important is it to get an early start with extra resources and extra XP and getting potentially one more skill point before we leave this island area. I hit it once, but I needed to hit it twice with my current level of damage I'm doing. Come on. Maybe it died after I shot it. Maybe it didn't. Where did that guy go? Seems like it just clipped or fell through the wall. This guy seems like he is basically just disappearing and reappearing in and out of brushwood. And some of these spawns of herbs and things feel like they are respawning, which I don't hate that idea, that we could always just get more resources, but we're not really into the point where crafting is that useful. Alright. So you gotta let go of the left stick if you don't want to fire. So it seems like you come over this hill and it tends to always be there. At least tends to be there a lot. So it's hiding. And I'm not sure I've killed any copper bars, or if I've killed other boars, or just found corpses of boars. So, I got some prompt there for crafting silent arrows. I don't know how you do that though. I have like 5 arrows left. If anything, it seems to me like there must be a bigger challenge. And then there's this like flower picking challenge. See, it seems like what may happen is we may run into a scenario where we are increasingly improving an outfit, and this is going to have weird RPG elements to them. That I imagine we're just not going to be ready to. I imagine it just won't change the experience much. There's yet another, or the same corpse. Dead. In the wrong place. I suspect the flower picking challenge at the top of the canopy does include actions across this section. We will probably just end up back in that area at some point, or maybe not. Meanwhile, we're getting resources,
Miguel?
which I think we're gonna need if I waste arrows like I have.
This.
Miguel? Where are you?
Oh no.
Miguel? Miguel?
Alright, so now it's been a while since we changed the outfit, and the textures just have not looked better. On her outfit. Ultra. Ambient inclusion darkens creases and corners of the game. Ray trace shadow quality is off. Depth of field we turned off. Level detail is at ultra. Tessellation adds more detail to select surfaces by subdividing geometry and applying displacement maps disabled to increase performance. Turning it on and off does not seem like it does anything for Lara Croft herself, but it does do something to the ground. Bloom doesn't do anything. And see, the problem here is you can't even move the camera around. Screen place reflections. Screen space shadows. Generate additional sharp shadows on surfaces close by the casters. See, like, none of this seems to really be affecting Lara Croft. I do think this ambient occlusion idea may be better to turn off, particularly if Lara Croft is always going to be smooth and kind of lit that way. It's funny, the forest looks just like from a completely different game. Trilinear, anisotropic. As far as texture filtering, yeah, but none of it seems like it's really fixing the problem I'm seeing. Well, apparently ray trace shadow quality could be at medium. Instead of just having shadow mapping. I suppose we can experiment with that, but I really hate that we're just screwing around with this and it's still not addressing the thing I want addressed, which is that Lara Croft here looks like she's in a very smooth video game appearance, and then you have way more detail on the environment, which at some level, if you are going to have to live with that, then having ambient inclusion off makes the environment, the trees and everything, feel like it is got that halo glow of lighting around it too, and that everything feels like it's kind of a cartoony pixel glowing. And at least in this case, the whole game feels consistent. But it doesn't feel better by any means doing it that way. Let's see. Trilinear. We could go with 16 anti-stropic and see if that does something. Let's see if that makes things look a little bit better. Maybe it does. Kind of does. Is there... I'm questioning whether I'm just losing my mind here. Or it may be that there's just like shader caches loading in and out on all the time. But yeah, usually I'm not this picky on visuals, but when you have your main protagonist character jumping between what feels like two very distinct looks, it is
Miguel?
just kind of shocking. Or at the very least it's off-putting. But this is also exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want to have to, in the middle of the game, take a break to look at visuals. You also don't want to take a break to go through a bunch of costumes.
Every part of the world seems to have its own mythical, forest-dwelling bipedal creature. Around here, it's known as the Sisamite, the guardian of the forest. Described as large and ape-like, it's rumored to kill male humans on sight, but takes the females to its cave for mating purposes.
Well, interesting. There is a question certainly that deserves to be asked as to why Lara Croft as a character has never really been depicted as having any like romantic interests. I'm actually surprised I was able to jump up there. Whereas James Bond, in contrast, is given carte blanche to sleep with as many women as he wants. Or even Indiana Jones is given carte blanche to sleep with, or at least have a romantic interest with all the female characters in the movies. Although, noticeably, one of the female characters in the first movie of Indiana Jones straight up says she was 17 when he slept with her, as he was her college professor. Okay, what caused that? A jaguar. Was that Miguel? And howler monkeys. I have like 4 arrows. It's crazy that it's taken 3 games to get back to the standard situation. Where you're fighting animals even as much as you're fighting humans. In the first game you were very much hunting deer and things that were
Got to be careful
reasonable to potentially fight and hunt. This is getting more into just animals you probably wouldn't hunt, but are dangerous enough that you're justified in killing them. They actually made a big deal in some interviews about how unacceptable it would be to hunt animals when they released the rebooted Tomb Raider game. So I guess sentiment shifted enough, or they justified it enough. The problem with this, though, is I would say that they haven't really am I aiming for the heart, or am I aiming for the head? Probably would make more sense to aim for the heart. I am out of arrows. We have to hold right trigger to craft arrows. I have no idea how many hits it's supposed to take, though.
That's it. It's working.
It's slowing down somewhat. See, holding right trigger seems to only let you really craft 4 arrows at once, which I'm gonna obviously need more than 4 arrows in the long run. And I need feathers. Now, interesting, it wants me to swing back and forth on the left trigger, and there is no assistance on that. See, now we're in a cutscene, so Lara Croft's face looks not well designed. This is weird. Is the jaguar smelling something on you? Magical? So by most narrative, that is your main boss at the end of the game. You're going to be hunting and fighting that bloody jaguar for the rest of the story. Let's see. Hold left bump and tap A to heal. Okay. Instead, I think I can just hold A and heal. We're back to being muddy. But even here, I'm still not sure the texture's quite right. Let's make 16 arrows. I think that's a good enough spot to start with. And yeah, we're going to want to grab as much resources as we possibly can get from this area to make up for all the resources we just spent. We'll probably get a skill that makes us craft using less resources, and that will be as useful as finding more resources. What was that? I don't know. It didn't seem like it was a collectible thing. No? Okay. 20, 24, 25. Okay. So I know my limit now is 25, and I should focus on only doing 25. Or no more than 25. Now, if this is in line with the older Lara Croft games, we'll probably fight some humans next, and it will toggle between humans and animal fights.
That's part of the wreckage.
Jonah!
In a lot of ways, though, this feels almost exactly like rehashing the first game. Alright, and we go through the water, and it seems like as soon as you touch the water, you're back to clean versions of you. If anything, this just feels like a waste of resources. To have the game constantly loading in and out different textures and particles. Although I could see potentially programming it in such a way that the mud is always on her, it's just invisible when she's in her clean mode, and then it is made visible when she gets muddy again. But then there was also a very bad way to program it, where every particle of mud actually is a unique particle that gets added randomly each time.
6th of June. Father's outward enthusiasm is at an all-time high.
These
Though I
journals
have
aren't
doubts.
all going to just be in
the middle
these
of the night, I have caught the whites
leather
of his eyes reflecting
cases.
moonlight, his stare vacantly locked to the stars. Were it not for all the stories he has shared of the Amazon in the past, I would mistake his gaze as regretful, even mournful. Perhaps it is simply these insects making their way through our head nets causing him such consternation.
So you're not going to get a complete story on the journals until you have them all. Then you'd want to potentially listen to them all. Which definitely makes an argument that the game should just have, like, required you to find all of the journals, then unlocked all the text.
The plane! Jonah, are you there?
I guess the question is Miguel dead? Was that the body we saw? If that is the case, then I suspect we will be all alone for the rest of the game. It would make some sense for Miguel to be dead and Jonah to be dead. Obviously that's not the case now.
You killed.
Because clearly the path here is that she's gonna cause
Do you know what happened to Miguel?
more and more miserable stuff to happen.
He didn't make it. What's wrong with your arm?
Some sort of parasite. I was looking for some wormwood, but it doesn't grow around here.
Let me see.
Oh, hey, what are you doing?
If we leave it in there, it'll only get worse. Sit.
You're gonna cut out a parasite.
You sure you know what you're doing?
I had something similar happen to me when I was a child in Egypt. I won't lie, it's gonna hurt.
You think that storm from earlier was the storm? The one from the mural?
I don't know.
I think maybe we should stop and take stock. We've been pushing so hard forward. Flying into that storm.
I didn't think it was gonna be that bad.
Well, I should have insisted we turn back. I mean, I get it. You lock onto a problem and everything else just disappears.
Jonah.
Hey, I'm with you. It's my choice, most of the time. But if we die, who stops the cataclysms? Who keeps Trinity from doing what they want?
Sometimes I feel like I have to keep going, and if I don't, then I'll just let everyone down. But maybe for the sake of a few hours, we could have turned back.
It's kind of early for him to say let's stop and take stock when they've barely done anything in the game.
Okay.
The player has barely
Eli?
done anything.
My cousin is always trying to get under my skin.
Goodbye, Eli.
Thanks.
We should go. If we can find Yaku, we can rest for the night.
Sounds good.
I have no idea what Yaku is supposed to be.
I think we can see the village through the vines over there.
I'm glad you stayed at the crash site.
Well, if you were out there, I wanted you to be able to find me. I had a flare gun.
Yeah, I think Miguel was heading toward it when...
Poor guy.
Okay, so I don't know how much more of this level really exists. It seems to me like we're gonna end up ending the story.
How'd you manage to get Eli in your arm anyway?
I was trying to figure out if the water was clean. Got my answer. Do you really believe in all that stuff that you said about the cataclysms, the apocalypse?
I believe that if it is true, it's important enough to die for, or for Trinity to kill for.
So this is really about revenge?
No. When I took the key, I also felt a power pulling me towards
Seems
something.
like there's more conversation here than what you'd run into.
Is it in your head now?
No. It left me when Dominguez took the key.
It's that strong. How can we be sure?
Let's just find Kwakyaku, okay?
So we'll just do a decent job if we can, looking for resources, grabbing things. Seems like there's a lot of resources around here. That could have easily been missed.
You know, if it was about revenge, I'd understand.
Would you, though? Wouldn't you rather be somewhere warm and dry with a beer, maybe a friendly stranger to flirt with?
Yeah, I would. Like,
I
you
almost
can't
wonder
imagine.
if they're trying to
But I'd
imply
still
that
understand.
Jonah
It's not
would be
revenge.
a romantic interest with Lara Croft, which, I mean, that would be fine. Just seems,
We can get through here. Give me a hand.
that seems like if they're gonna go that way, they should double down on it and introduce it more as a thing. The idea that she feels like she's gonna let everybody down doesn't feel like the Lara Croft I would think she is, but honestly, I have no idea who Lara Croft is as a character in the original series.
See
She's
that?
It must be Kwakyaku. We have to get down there.
basically a blank slate to me. And for the most part, she was basically a blank slate in the two previous games until very close to the end of the second game. The first game, she's just basically a young woman in a desperate situation trying to
You
survive.
sure this is a path?
Could easily have
Come
been
on,
a
stay close to me.
story of
This
any
is
woman.
definitely not a path.
Maybe she has a higher amount of determination or luck, but that's about it.
Oh, God.
Almost there.
Almost there. Heard that before.
In the second game, they make it a lot more personal and
You're right.
say Trinity killed
Just a couple more steps.
her dad and the mother died. I'm not sure if the mother wasn't actually a member of Trinity
You're all right.
at some
I'm
point.
okay. I'm okay.
Like, I really don't remember the story. I needed a recap desperately. Looks like Jonah almost just walked off the edge there. What is this snake symbol all about?
The bridge is down. Maybe we could lift it with those counterweights.
Maybe.
I hope that this structure is here.
So
because
we
we're on our way
need
that
to learn ancient dialects
too.
to decipher that. Interesting, it does seem like you're almost going in full circle.
I bet this water is drinkable.
You want to try it?
I think I'll stick to the bottles you found in the cargo from the plane.
There we have another
This depicts the Incan
depiction.
god Kon. He was the son of Inti, the sun god, and Pachamama, the moon goddess. Kon was in charge of the wind and the rain, although in some legends he was only in charge of the weather that came from the south, while his brother Pachacamac was in charge of weather that came from the north.
So clearly you can have a very different experience in this game if you want to hit the back button and see the story, versus if you don't want to hear the story, the backstories and
If I had known how
descriptions.
much time I'd spend in the wilderness, I'd have paid more attention in Boy Scouts.
Wasn't your thing?
Well, my family situation meant we didn't get to do a lot of stuff like that.
Like, pulling that alone is not going to do it.
What about you? Ever do Girl Scouts or nature camp as a kid?
Does boarding school count?
I don't know. Does it?
Probably not. But Roth showed me some things. I always preferred the company of adults anyway.
Yeah. I'll miss that guy.
Me too.
Yeah, and just every single second it's gonna be click the button and
With
see
Eli
if you
gone,
can.
your arm should heal quickly.
Yeah. I feel a lot better already.
It really does feel crazy to get XP for just finding caches.
The canopa serves as a receptacle for offerings of cocoa and animal tallow. The stuffed canopa is thrown into the farmer's field at the start of the harvest season as a gift for Pachamama, the mother god. It is said, if the present is accepted, the farmer will yield large crops in a successful breeding season.
I assume some of this backstory, when you find an item like this, is straight up just information that was handed to them from historical references and from historians, and this is a attempt to pretend like the game is much more educational than it really is. So you have this ma'am, you have this kuchua, and obviously there's enough room for something else. And all the collectibles seem to fall under these different collapsed categories, of which it doesn't seem like there's ever going to be. It doesn't seem like there's going to be too many of these categories overall. Like 3 or 4 more. We don't have any side missions, and flower picking is the only challenge I think we're supposed to do right now. We're up to 3,000 gold pieces. In the Peruvian jungle, we can see there's actually 2 more campfires and 2 challenge tombs, it looks like, 2 objectives, 1 large cache, 2 caves, 6 more artifacts, 8 more documents, 6 more something something something. I'm not sure what those other ones are all about. On the second row. And then as far as inventory items, we're doing decent, but it seems like there are some inventory items we also will not collect until later. Looks like this might be another legendary animal to hunt. And it seems like we may just have Jonah with us for a while. Which that's not what I expected to happen. At all. Yeah, it says there's a thing right here. I walked right past it.
Cinnabar was used in the ancient past for producing a bright orange pigmentation on ceramics, murals, tattoos, and in religious ceremonies.
Yeah, that feels like that is weirdly short and simplistic. That doesn't feel like a writer wrote that. That felt like a research or historian wrote that.
This describes something nearby. 2 serpents guard life and death. I lie trapped within their eternal struggle.
Interesting. So we saw that.
This is great.
And so now we can dig there. That gave us a large amount of resources. I heard an animal sound there. Which I wasn't expecting an animal to also show up. Anyways. Yeah. We've now collected everything. Let's see how this goes.
It's too heavy. Give me a hand.
Really don't think the game is going to be better if Jonah follows us around for a long time.
Okay. Let's let it go. Slowly.
Okay. This looks like a bucket that needs to be filled with water. I'm not just going to be able to lift things. You are able to shoot it from here and then tie it to this.
Need to get the water flowing.
Right, so we need the water to flow. Okay. I guess that's one of those settings there where the game is going to give generic hints but not directly tell you what to need to do. And I guess if I hadn't gotten that hint...
That did something. I think the water powers the bridge somehow.
Okay. Let's try this again. It is an interesting question as far as just how often do you really need bridges that go up and down.
Good. Let's see what those counterweights do.
Particularly when you have somebody like Trinity, who is not...
The bucket's leaking.
Come on back. Try again.
Like, Trinity has helicopters, so obviously the idea of having a bridge to protect you is not going to be that useful. So it almost feels like I need to tell him to stay there while I run this way. And then...
Okay, Jonah, you can let go.
get across.
That is a weird system they've got. And he just jumped without you. But you'd think he would wait. It's a dangerous situation. You don't know what you're facing. For him to just jump across without you is crazy.
Guess we go through here.
After you. What's that?
I think it's some sort of sealer or...
Looks just like a statue, same as the others.
What is it?
Close enough to the others.
A recipe. Seems to be a mixture of herbs. It could help if we run into any more jaguars.
Let's hope we don't. Way out is over here.
I have the eagle. Tap left bump and then tap Y to use perceptional. The perception herbal mixture perception allows Laura to sense animals and natural resources throughout the environment. Which, haven't I been doing that with this the whole time? So why do I need a second herbal mixture for that? I feel like, and this is an incredibly dark area, but it's intentionally dark, so I can't complain too much. Jonah is too capable of a character, and potentially just because of his body size, and in some cultures certainly just being male would help too. So I don't feel like he is a good companion character to Lara Croft. You almost need like a Alfred to Batman type character, somebody who is perhaps older and more subservient. I could see if Jonah was depicted as more of a peace-loving hippy-dippy type, and he was just not willing to go on adventures or engage in combat, then he might work well as a companion and potential romance interest to Lara Croft, if that's the direction they're really implying here. Honestly, it seems like it's just more of a friendship, but even as a friend companion, that there is a real danger here where Jonah could seem like he's the character. Just her even just physically looking up to him sends a message that you generally wouldn't have in a movie. You'd have the hero be the tallest character in the movie, not Lara Croft being several, looks like 1.5 feet or 2 shorter than him, although she, I guess if we were maybe standing side by side. Best case scenario though, you still are 1 foot shorter, it feels. I suppose what you could do to Jonah is have him lose a leg. That would work pretty well. Like have a jaguar lose a leg or break a leg, have him on crutches, have him sick from a parasite infection. Maybe that's what they'll do with it. But you really got to eliminate him from being the big, tall, muscly character that he is. Otherwise, he's going to be far too capable and want to follow you around throughout the whole game, and that's going to be annoying. Or he's going to take attention away from Lara Croft. And yeah, it seems like there's going to be another section here. And then probably another section here. I felt like we started up here. And so then we ended up here. And so at this point I bet you're going to get a reconnection to go back down to this area. to take on these tombs and crypts and this campfire and flower picking. And there might even be an argument to go around in circles, or it may just be a case where, with the exception of maybe hunting this animal, now is not really the best time to do that. They may get to a point where they make a very obvious transitional spot and you have to, and they'll warn you before you leave, or you'll maybe get no warning and just leave to the next area. Although I'm not expecting the Peruvian jungle to be the only location in the game. It might be the entirety of the first act. We can see there's quite a lot of empty space before I hit a wall on the right here, whereas in contrast I hit a wall very quickly on the left. And there's a decent amount of space north and very little space south. So it seems like we're in the lower left hand corner of the map, and this could just expand quite a bit into further and further areas. Alright, well, let's see, left bump and then Y. And then I guess the question would come down
We're
to,
getting closer to the village.
I can't wait to get back to civilization.
How long does this highlight last? Not particularly super long.
These are
And
different
there's-
from the ruins in Mexico.
Weirdly less.
Your dad's notebook say anything about Peru?
No. I mean, there is supposed to be a secret city of gold in Peru. Paititi. Every treasure hunter on Earth is looking for it. But Dad's notes stop in Mexico. Like he lost interest or... I don't know. The next volume picks up in Syria.
The passageway.
So she's just like following her father's journals.
The riddle goes again. Chase the heart of the serpent.
To the silver-crowned mountain where the twins confer.
So I guess the question is,
I think we can get out that way.
should we go that direction? Or should we investigate other directions also? Obviously there's a challenge tomb. Should probably try and do the challenge tomb. We're going really long here.
These two gods are the rulers of the Maya underworld, Xibalba, literally the place of fright. Vucub-Kakwish, whose name means seven macaw, was a monstrous bird who is said to carry the false sun in his beak. His subordinate was Hunkame, which means one death. They are both defeated and killed by the hero twins after challenging them to various sports and games in which both sides cheated. Vucub-Kakwish lost his game of darts when the hero twins used blowpipes.
So it seems to me we're getting a lot of story here, but we're just getting a generic statue to show us the story. Right. There's a tomb nearby.
It's such a relief to have Jonah back, especially after Miguel. At least Jonah didn't ask what happened. The Jaguars. I don't want him to worry. We have to stay sharp if we're going to get ahead of Trinity.
So I think you may want to just go for this. Like looking for rare animals faster. Perception plants allow you to sense the animals and natural resources throughout the environment. So I guess we've already acquired that. We could sense human enemies here, and then eventually upgrade it so it lasts longer. Although it seems weird that you have two systems that do the same thing. Yeah, and now we have also focus plants. I feel like that unlocked at some point. And now you have endurance plants that have unlocked. So that leaves only these story rewards and the challenge tomb rewards and these story rewards to unlock. And there's kind of nothing else to do, but we can craft upgrades like crazy. And apparently 4 upgrades are available. So we have a Grip of Fear versus the Climbing Axe. Let's see what the Grip of Fear looks like. It's just visually different from the metal Climbing Axe. Optimized for climbing and fighting, enemies are more likely to get knocked down and they will stay down longer. So you again pay to win here. We have a recurve bow, which looks like it's at maxed max levels, and that seems like that's the default one. Or we could take the Oathtaker's bow, which does more damage towards armored enemies. Puka Hook's bow, which seems like it's just better in every way. And then the Serpent Lash has a shorter hold time from the looks of it. But I guess maybe you could upgrade things on some of these. Of course, we'll get guns at some point, and you may just want to upgrade the guns. So, wouldn't it make a lot of sense to just equip what we have by default? Actually, the Silver Strike looks better as a weapon. So, let's stick with that. Let's see, I don't know if I really want to upgrade anything. The bows look visually different, but not by much. So I think it would be a mistake to pick a bow just because of its visuals. Yeah, it definitely seems to me like the 4 upgrades here, if we were to upgrade this, would not get it back to anything more than what it was. So let's go to Serpent's Lash. If I press X here and hit upgrade, I'm given a weird system here, which would increase the damage or the rate of fire or the faster draw string, and then the whole time. So from the looks of it, what you probably want is Silver Strike equipped by default. To start with, you want to save your upgrades, and I don't know what really gives you upgrades until you find something that looks like it can be upgraded quite a bit. And certainly some of these are fine as they are, like the recurve bow compared to the Silver Strike. In the long run might be better, it might do more damage, but you need something that would let you upgrade it to a maximum. There's just no upgrades here at all. Yeah. If I unlocked this, yeah, clearly you're just not ready to engage with any of this system. Then none of these outfits need to be repaired. Now we have repel wire too. Here's the cave, and here's the tomb. Okay. So let's go ahead and make a save, and then let's check something. Wow. Apparently we're 10% complete with this game, and I've been playing for maybe 4.5 hours. So don't expect a 60%, 60-hour game, I guess. Yeah, and we'll just leave it at that. Like, it's been a lot of messing around, still really running into problems with Lara Croft as a character, just not feeling like she's even in the same universe visually, the way the textures are loading in. But yeah, we messed with more of the settings, and hopefully going forward we won't have to mess with any more settings. And yeah, the actual game is being fairly slow and fairly linear, which has always been the way these Tomb Raider reboot games have played, when it very possibly should be more of an open world experience. And it tries to be fast with action sequences, but once you get out of the action sequences, it's fairly slow moving. Anyways, we've gone way too long. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to support me further, there's some links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.